All right, so here we have a short review of unit conversion. And unit conversion is going to come up a bunch in physics because we are this crazy country that likes to measure our distances in things like feet and our weights in things like pounds, and the rest of the world doesn't do it that way. So we're going to need to be able to communicate with other countries on occasion, and so it's important that we be able to convert units so that we can represent the same quantity, the same mass, the same distance, the same amount of time in different representations using different units. All right? Now the basic way to set up a unit conversion is to take your starting value, whatever's given to you in the problem that you are trying to convert into different units, and putting it out in front with the units clearly written here. All right, units are really important. That's unit conversion. Okay, so we need the units here. Okay, and then we are going to multiply it by a fraction, some sort of conversion factor that links this unit in here with the unit we are trying to get to. Now, my number one piece of advice for people trying to convert units is when they set up this conversion factor, put in the units first. Put them wherever they have to go so that they will cancel with your starting value in the starting units, and then go ahead and fill in the numbers that go along with it. Now, I think this is one of those things where the best way to learn it is by seeing some examples. So let's see some examples. All right. So our first example, we have a length of 16 inches. We are trying to convert that into centimeters. All right. Now we happen to know that the relationship between inches and centimeters is that 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters. So to set this up, again, I start with the number that I'm trying to convert, the number given to me in the problem. So I've got 16 inches. And then I'm going to multiply by a fraction, by a conversion factor. But before I start just throwing numbers in there, I'm going to start with my units. Right now, I've got inches in the numerator. I need it to cancel. So in order for the inches to cancel, my conversion factor is going to have inches in the denominator. See how this way they're going to cancel out really nicely, one on top, one on bottom. And then up here, I'm going to put centimeters because that's the unit I'm trying to get into. All right, so now that I know that my units are set up to cancel, now I can fill in the numbers. Now in this conversion factor, I've got 1 inch, so 1 goes next to the inch, and 2.54 centimeters, so that goes next to centimeters. All right, now my inches cancel, so I'm left only with centimeters in here. And then to get the answer, I can't do that in my head, so let's calculate it. All right, we've got 16 times 2.54, ta-da, 40.64 centimeters, which looks pretty reasonable to me. It's a little over twice as much as our starting value in inches. Beautiful. All right, let's move on to something a little bit harder. So we've got a speed of 150 feet per hour. We're trying to convert that into feet per second, all right? Now, I haven't given you the conversion factor, but you could write it out because I'm pretty sure you know that 1 hour is equal to 60 minutes and 1 minute is equal to 60 seconds. All right. So again, let's set this up. We start by taking the value given to us in the problem and putting it out front. 150 feet per hour, and since this unit is in the denominator, I'm going to stick it in the denominator here as well. Okay. Now I'm going to set up my conversion factor. First thing that goes in there is units. The unit I'm trying to get rid of is hours. Check it out. Hours is in the denominator to begin with. That means in order to get it to cancel, I'm going to have to put hours in the numerator of my conversion factor. See how since it's down here, we need to have an hour up here in order for them to cancel. Okay. Now what are we going to convert to? Well, I don't know exactly off the top of my head how many seconds are in an hour, but I do know how many minutes are in an hour and then how many minutes or how many seconds are in a minute. So I can actually do this in 2 steps if I want to, and I do, so I will. Okay. So I'm going to start by converting into feet per minute. So I know that 1 hour contains 60 minutes. All right, so again, I started by putting in the units to make sure that they would cancel, and then I filled in the numbers that went with them. Now I'm in feet per minute. I want to get to feet per second, so I'm going to do one more conversion factor. This time minutes goes in the numerator so that it's going to cancel out with the minutes in the denominator. I'm going to put seconds on the other side. This is going to leave us with just feet per second in the end, which is what we want, so that's pretty sweet. Now, we know 1 minute contains 60 seconds. My minutes are going to cancel. Now I can just enter everything into my calculator. My recommendation is go ahead and multiply everything across the top. Fortunately, 150 times 1 times 1 is just 150. And then divide by, and then put parentheses around everything in the denominator right there. So just to show you what I mean by that, I'm going to do 150 times 1, if you want to do that, divided by, and then I'm going to put parentheses, and then everything that's in the denominator there. 150 divided by 60 times 60 gives me 0.0417 feet per second. Pretty good. All right, let's do one last one, a little bit more challenging. We've got 30 miles per hour. We want to convert it into meters per second. All right. So, I know that 1 mile contains 1,609 meters. I also know, again, that 1 hour contains 60 minutes, 1 minute contains 60 seconds. If I wanted to, I could just multiply 60 seconds per minute times 60 minutes per hour to give myself 3,600 seconds per hour, if we wanted to just do that conversion in one step. All right. So let's go through this again. So I've got my starting value out front, 30 miles per hour. I'm going to write it that way so it's really clear to me where all the units go, whether they're in the numerator or the denominator. All right. Now from here, I can convert my miles or I can convert my hours, but I can't do both at once. I'm going to start with my miles. So I'm going to put miles on the bottom so that it's going to cancel out with the miles on the top here. And then I'm going to put meters up on top, and there are 1,609 meters in 1 mile. I'm just bringing the numbers over to match up with the same units they were with before. So now my miles have canceled out. Now I'm ready to cancel out the hours. Hours are currently in the denominator, so I'm going to need to put them in the numerator of my conversion factor so that they'll cancel out. I'll put seconds in the bottom, and there are 3,600 seconds in 1 hour. My hours cancel. I'm ready to rock and roll. So I've got 30 times 1,609 divided by, since I only have one thing in the denominator, I don't need parentheses, 13.41 meters per second. And that's it. So the key idea here, you got to make sure that those units cancel out every step of the way. If you have additional questions for me, feel free to come on by.